Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Tasteen and I welcome you all on Homeopathy Musing. Today in the episode of Musings in Dialogue, we'll have the preview of our course from classroom to clinic. This course is specially designed for students, early practitioners, and those who've returned back from a long break. We have total 12 sessions, and we are going to be starting this course in May, the 14th of May. We have with us Dr. Prajakta Vaidya, Dr. Preety Shah, Dr. Charuvahan sir, and Dr. Kamlesh Kakde sir, who have years of clinical experience, who are renowned teachers, homeopaths globally. And today we'll be discussing what you all can expect from this course. But before we move on, I would like to take a few minutes of yours and brief you through the courses and the upcoming courses that we are going to be having on musing. So we have the full spectrum pediatric course, which is a 12 session course, and we aim on covering every aspect of pediatric care. We have renowned speakers and teachers like Gajanan Dhanipkar sir, Rajul Shah ma'am, Preety Shah, Dr. Preety Shah, Dr. Prajakta Vaidya, and amongst others, who will be taking these sessions. And we've already started the course. In case you miss previous sessions, you can always get access to the recording. We have another interesting course coming up on lanthanide, which will be taken by Dr. Jonathan Hardy, sir. And we'll have total 4 sessions that will be starting in July. The registrations are open for the same. We also have a course on homeopathy for anxiety and panic, a 360-degree approach, which will be taken by Dr. Aradhana Chitra ma'am. And we've recently launched our musing website where you can get access to all these courses and much more. And for all of for extra benefits, you can enroll on the musings corner, where you will get benefits such as monthly live cases and hybrid sessions. We're going to be having one of our monthly sessions tomorrow. I invite you all to join us live for a live case, or you can come to clinic in our to our clinic in Malad, or you can join us virtually. You can also refer your cases, your difficult cases. You can get 5% discount on the musing courses and much more. So I will just put a link to the website, the link of the website below, and you can always register or go through the website. Without wasting any more time, I will stop sharing. We can begin with today's session. Firstly, I would like to invite Dr. Preety Shah to come forward, and I have certain questions in my mind. But first of all, this course from classroom to clinic, we had version 1 earlier last year, and now we are going to be having version 2. So, ma'am, can you just describe the importance of this course, or you can just put forward certain things that what we can expect from this course? Ma'am, you are on mute, I guess.
All right, thank you. So thank you, Taskeen, for introducing, and thank you everybody for taking the time to join. So, as you know, at Homeopathy Musings, we've been trying to work very, very diligently to make sure that all our needs as homeopaths, as our community of homeopaths are met, and we're trying to bridge any gap that we have. So the whole idea is this energy exchange where we are able to share and grow together. In fact, next month we are going to complete 5 years of musing. So I'm very, very excited about that too. So when we were trying to look at, homeopaths who have just begun, homeopaths who have some years of experience under their belt, they're intermediate level homeopaths, and there are homeopaths who are quite senior with many years of practice. We realize that especially for our homeopaths who are at a beginner level, means they've just graduated, or they're recently interested in homeopathy, or they're still, interns and studying homeopathy. Or there are homeopaths, who've taken a break for whatever reasons in life and want to come back to the practice. We have realized that they do have some decent amount of theoretic knowledge. Yeah, I mean we are all good at looking at Allen's keynotes and Borik's Materia Medica, and even writing some organon aphorisms. So I think we do have our basic fundamentals very clear, but a lot of it is very theoretic. And we don't know what's the practical correlation of it. Yeah. So if we say there is a certain aphorism which talks about individualization, it sounds all very, very nice and philosophical and ideal, but we don't know what it really means when you're sitting in front of the patient, right? Or when we are, talking about certain things in terms of repertorization, or if you're talking about certain themes about how to study a particular remedy. So we know our remedies, perhaps, but we don't know really how to study them and how to apply that practically in our patients, in acute cases, in pathological cases, in psychiatric cases. So there is a certain lacuna to gain confidence in starting our practice. And more as we reach out to more students, as we are visiting so many colleges and working at the grassroots level, we are realizing that there is a lack of confidence in our budding homeopaths, and they feel, perhaps they feel homeopathy may not work, or homeopathy is great but it may not work in your practice. So there are these practical things which inhibits them from starting their practice. And then there are shortcuts and other methodologies one undertakes. So really, principally, long story short, the idea behind Charu, Kamlesh, Prajakta, and I joining hands, coming together, is to make sure that we are bridging this gap from classroom. We are providing clinical cases, tips, tricks, what we can do, what does this really mean, not in an ideal classroom setting, but from a very practical perspective. So the whole design of the course is to say that, okay, we'll take you from the very fundamental organon, case taking, etc., but we slowly pick you up and take you, okay, these are the different ways to study remedies. These are the plant kingdom, mineral kingdom, animal kingdom remedies. We are looking at, we'll bring all sorts of different cases, and cases after cases practically will hold your hand and bring you at least till the level of where you feel comfortable in integrating both classical homeopathy and some advanced homeopathic techniques like the kingdom approach. That's the idea, if that makes sense.
Yes, ma'am. And when you say about cases and clinical practical thing, uh, can you explain the importance of case taking when we start our practice? Like how important is case taking?
So, case taking is really the very first step between you and the person sitting next to you, between you and the person you intend to heal or help, isn't it? So, without case taking, you really cannot begin the person's healing journey. And if you can't begin, and if you don't do that right, you're setting yourself up for failure, really. So, a good case taking is the most fundamental thing for us to succeed in our practice. And we need different case taking approaches, So we may have studied or we may know a particular case taking methodology based on where we are in the world, or, which homeopathy you've been inspired to, or which homeopathy school has inspired you. However, there are certain fundamentals that we must follow. And the idea, what I want to do with you during this, 3 months, is to give you, okay, during the pediatric case taking, this is what you need to do. In an acute case, this is what you need to do. In a chronic case, this is what you need to do. In a case where there are more mental symptoms, in psychiatric cases, this is what you need to do. So tell you not just the fundamentals, but give you a step-by-step guide with practical examples of different methods of case taking. Yeah, in some cases that will go very deep, how to handle that. There are certain cases the patient doesn't talk only. He's like wondering, why are you asking me so many questions? What to do in such cases? When to use projection? When to use doodle? How to use doodling? So all those kind of different methodologies, different tools, and how to use them, and how to take the patient deeper and deeper so that you can come to the exact individualistic characteristics of the patients. Once we know the patient, then we can try and match him to the remedy, right? So if we need to understand the patient, case taking is the first step. And I'm hoping with the way we've built the curriculum, we'll be able to do that.
Sure, ma'am. And I think you've answered my next question as well. Of so many methods across, of so many approaches that have come up, like how and what approach do we need to implement for a smooth case taking, or how to find the right approach for finding the right simulation. So I think you've already answered that question, that it depends
So the
upon case
key
taking.
sense, the skill is to be flexible enough,
Yeah.
yeah, to understand. I was actually teaching earlier today to a bunch of students, and I get a lot of case taking questions. Oh, the patient is not talking. Oh, what to do this? They're not able to go deeper. The idea is we need to go. The idea of case taking is not necessarily to find the remedy. The idea of the case taking, your intention has to be to understand the patient. And depending on what level the patient is, if you're able to strike a conversation, if you're able to connect with that patient, then you can flow. It can become a very free flowing, seamless journey. If you have a set protocol, first I will ask all this, then I will ask LSMC, then I'm going to ask physical generals, physical particulars. I mean, if you follow a protocol, you know, you may not succeed very well. And the patient is going to feel very robotic. It can't. It is of course scientific. There are fundamental principles that you need to follow. You need to take the nature. You need to take the dreams. You need to talk about the childhood. You need to have complete picture of the patient. However, you need to be very artistic in doing that. Then when do you talk about dreams? And in the dreams, is the patient saying something that I see so many balloons in my dreams? What does it mean? How does it feel to see all these balloons? They say there are so many colors, doctor. There is green, there is yellow, there is orange, there is magenta. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. So now balloon is not important. What is important is all these colors, and it's so beautiful. And what's the experience of seeing all these colors and such beautiful? It's so exciting. So many colors, bright colors, it's just out of the world. And from here, you can take the patient even deeper, right? So you cannot go to the rubric dreams of balloons, you know. So what I'm trying to say is that if you apply art and you know when to ask what, you can really case taking can become a very very beautiful journey in understanding a fellow human being. And yeah, it's amazing. And sometimes you don't need to go very deep. Sometimes if it's an acute case or it's a very deep one-sided pathological case, then you need to find one PQRS, one doorway, one entryway to the patient, which will then unravel everything. Exact PQRX, exact characteristic of something which is out of the ordinary. In his arthritis, what is out of the ordinary? What are the concomitants? What are the modalities which is very, very peculiar, very, very striking, very, very, unique to this person? That we need to find, not the lukewarm symptoms. That's not going to help. So, yeah, I mean, we need to be flexible and then use different approaches. So from no matter where you are, you're from a classical school, you're from HHF school, from whatever school you come to, or whatever has been your exposure, if you're able to use these different tools, you will be able to understand the patient and then analyze the case. And then that's another story.
Very rightly said, ma'am. Thank you for answering my question. I would now like to invite Dr. Kamlesh Kakde, sir, if you can come forward and if you can answer some of my queries. So, sir, as Preety ma'am also mentioned about rubrics and how important is case taking, I would like to ask, while we have taken the case and we are analyzing the remedy, the case, and finding the remedy, how will we know like what repertory to use or what repertory to refer to, and how important is repertorization for a case? Can you please highlight on that?
Sure. Thanks for the invitation. And so here we are talking about individualization, right? And we are learning and teaching on this platform how to individualize in a classical way, in a scientific way, right? So each patient expresses in an individual way. So we need to acquire individual way of understanding patient. So some patients they expresses rubrics, some patients they expresses pathology, some may go deeper, they expresses sensation. And to analyze each of these patients, we need to take individual approach. And that's why we may need individual type of repertory also. So like for example, if patient is expressing a lot of modalities, a lot of physical symptoms, and there are very few emotional or mental symptoms, then we cannot use Kent repertory here in this case, right? So we need to go for warning or say. So it depends upon what patient is expressing. So in that particular way, we need to understand the case and we need to select the proper repertory in that given case. For example, if we have some good clinical symptoms in given case. So we must go once to the Phatak repertory and we must confirm that particular clinical symptoms with Phatak repertory. So it is very good tool, but provided we need to uh, apply this artistically. And this is what we are going to discuss in this course also, the practical application of how to do this. Probably this time will not be enough to explain each and every nuances of how to apply this, how to do this, but this is the long story in short. You are muted, Taskin.
Yeah. I said thank you, sir, for answering this question. Repertorization is in fact very important in case taking and case analysis. So one more question on repertorization is that sometimes we have a complaint and we have two rubrics, similar rubrics. So how are we supposed to differentiate it? Like
So this is very practical questions, and lot of students ask this question, how to interpret, and there are a lot of similar looking rubrics and how to differentiate. But in my understanding, this is very mechanical way of looking to the repertory. What we need to do, as Preeti mentioned very correctly, we need to understand that person, not just the individual symptoms, but we need to go and we need to explore the inner feeling of that patient behind that expression, right? So if we just look for the simple symptoms, then we may get confused which rubric to take in this particular for this particular symptom. But we should look the inner sense of that particular symptom. We should look that particular symptom in context with the whole case. And when we will understand what patient means exactly, then only we can differentiate the rubric in the repertoire. So this is a very theoretical answer probably, but what we can do, we can demonstrate this through cases only. And this is what we are going to do this going to do in this course. We are going to describe lot of cases and we are going to explain each and every concept whatever we are talking here about. All this concept will be explained through cases, practical application of all these answers.
surely, sir. Looking forward to all those cases and all those explanation. Thank you for answering my question. And now I would like to invite Dr. Prajakta Vaidya ma'am if she can come forward for some of my questions that I need answers to. So, ma'am, everyone, matlab, it is so obvious that materia medica is so vast, and every remedy we can't, like how we can study a specific remedy, and you know because it is being so vast, that how simplifying in a simplified way can we study a specific remedy? If you can throw some light on that, ma'am.
Yeah, so it's a very, very important question, and I think the most fundamental, issue that a homeopath can come to also, because ultimately, like how Preeti was saying, you take a good case, you take different cases for different patient, the level of the patient, or different approaches that we take, right? But ultimately we have to come to, as Dr. Kamlesh said, to understand that patient, then analyze whatever the data and information that is available to us and prescribe, right? That is the most important and a fundamental step for us as a homeopath. And as Kamlesh was also saying, homeopathy is based on what? Then the main two principle. One is individualization and other is the holism, right? So what does holism means? That we learn our patient from all the aspects, right? So we, in case taking that happens, we see patients, all the, physical symptoms, mental picture, and if there are any particular complaints, or we see we are craving, aversion, sleep, dreams, everything, right? And depending on that, we also understand that patient, right? When we have to, it's not just the rubric, or it's not just the symptom that we say, okay, anger at contradiction, or something like fear of dark, but we understand at the context of our patient, right? So how we understand our patient from all the holistic aspects, it is very, very important for us to understand the centrality, that holistic aspect of that remedy. Then only what Dr. Hahnemann has mentioned in the organon is that we as a homeopath should know what is to be cured in our patient, and what is to be cured, what is the curative action of that remedy. So the centrality of the patient, we match with the centrality of the remedy. And if you have to match the centrality of that patient, we need to know the remedy from all its aspects, right? Not only just symptom. Okay, this remedy is good. Say aloe is good for diarrhea. The stocks is good for pain. But that's not how we look at it. Will be more of a very, very, isolating or excluding the other part of the remedy. If we try to include all the part of that remedy, if we say rust stocks, okay, what rust stocks belongs to, what is the source of that rust stock? What is the family of the rasa? What is the order that it belongs to? What is the kingdom that it belongs to? Because that remedy will have the essence of all these things in it, right? So to learn the remedy from all the aspect would be very, very important to match the holistic aspect of our patient. And the result which will be produced from that would be not at the level of only physical or mental complaint. It will be our holistic approach and holistic way of treating that patient, right? So it is very, very important to learn the remedy from all the aspects, from different authors, from its keynotes, from its source qualities. I think that is the second, kind of a process where we can be a successful homeopath. So very
Rightly said, ma'am. Rightly said. And ma'am, as you say that you have to study the remedy with its holistic aspect, but there are certain remedies. There are so many. The Maria Medica is one. So, ma'am, this concept of kingdom classification, how does that help in shortlisting a specific remedy when we take a case? Like, can you throw some light on that?
Yeah, so this kingdom classification or a system base of homeopathy is, introduced to a homeopathic world by Dr. Shankaran sir. He did a lot of research in his, uh, clinical practice, and he understood that, how the patient's language is different when it belongs to different kingdoms. So in traditional way, we generally used to, take kind of a symptoms, whatever is available or what are important individualistic. Most of the time we can get the best result also. But it's not like all the time we are very sure that yes, we will be, we are getting the best of the result. Something like that, if I have to give an example, see, if I ask you to imagine something, say something which is black, something which is big, and something which is moving, what will you say? What you can think about it? People can think anything. People can say it can be black cloud, it can be black elephant, it can be, say, black engine, anything that come to your mind. And this can generally be a part of the way we approaches in the physical aspect, or just taking the symptoms which are present. But if we try to think something beyond it, like if we ask, okay, is that a thing which we want, which is black and moving and a big one, is it a living or a non-living? Is it, if it is a living one, then it will be kind of from the plant, or it can be animal. If it is animal, then which animal it could be, or what is the group of that animal, whether it is snake, or whether it is bird, or whether it is mammal. So if like that, if we think, we will come to a narrowing down of that particular thing from the surface, right? And it is a similar way Dr. Shankaran has thought about it, and he reached to this navigation and this map system where you go deeper to find out what that symptom or that patient belongs to, what is the language of the patient that he's talking about. And with this navigation, when you come to a kingdom analysis, we are not just at the level of human language, right? We go a little bit further into the language of the nature, right? So that gives more deeper and a holistic aspect of it. So it helps us to go deeper and navigate and go to the the real essence of the language of the patient. So the classifying the language of the patient at this level gives us more clarity, gives us more surety to prescribe. And then with the plant, mineral, and animal, if you see, like how we all, like me, Charu, Kamlesh, Preety, we all are practicing sensation method. And we see it in our own practice, what Shankaran sir has said, how the language is different for the plant patient who are receiving the plant remedies, and for the mineral remedies, and for the animal remedies. So for the plant remedy, it will be more of a sensitivity issue. In a mineral, it will be more of, how capable they are, or they talk more about their dependency and their structure related issue. And animal, how the survival is more important, considering the entire patient into the background, not just at a, exclusively at cherry picking or those things. And with this understanding, if we go and prescribe on this information, and in this kind of a narrowing down, you've seen the best of the result. So kingdom classification has really helped us in the practice to narrowing down, and which also gives a lot of clarity and confidence to prescribe. So it has really helped this system based homeopathy in our practice. And that we will do that in this course with lot of cases. So how to understand that language, how to understand kingdom classification at the sensation level, at the deeper level, and not just at the peripheral level. So we'll do that in with cases in this course.
Thank you, ma'am. Very well explained. Thank you for answering my question. I would like to invite Charuvahan sir, if he can come forward. And as ma'am mentioned, that it is very important to study a specific remedy holistically. After a specific remedy, if we have the right remedy, the another question that comes up is about potency. Like what factors determine the potency that you select? So if you can throw some light on this and answer this question.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Tuscan, for inviting me. So the potency selection is always a big question that comes in everyone's mind after taking the case. So you have a lot of guidelines for potency. In some book, they will say you give this potency, or some of our teachers or seniors, we hear many things about potency selection. So this remedy will work in this particular potency. You should not give no sode in low potency. So many concepts, you can say, they are not well analyzed concepts. So many things we used to hear regarding the choice of potency. But as usual, so whatever we are going to deal in homeopathy, our authentication should be from Dr. Hahnemann. So when you try to understand how Hahnemann worked on this potency guidelines, so he gave three basic guidelines for certain potency selection. The one is the nature of the disease, and number two is the nature of the patient, and number three, the nature of the medicine. So these three basic guidelines should be followed in the potency selection. Not it should be followed in a holistic way, as as my friend Kamlesh explained how homeopathy works with two principles, that is holism and individualization. So this working principle applies in potency selection also. You cannot just select a low potency for a case that is having a pathological presentation, only pathological presentation. So you cannot take just as a nature of a disease alone for a case as a criteria to decide a potency, where it involves the patient and also the medicine what you are going to prescribe for that particular case. So how to solve this? So this is how Hahnemann started working on this potency and dosage. Every time when you speak about potency, it includes the dosage also. You can see, as you see the different editions of organon, Hahnemann used to have make so much refinements in administration of dose and even in the potency scales. So you can see decimal to centesimal, centesimal to LM potency. So you should understand this evolution of refinement that has happened in organon before addressing to the potency selection. So I think this is one thing which you have to learn before selecting the potency. It is not, it should have a scientific base. So it is not just throwing up some ideas upon some concepts and choosing some potency. It should be like a scientific way. You should be very clear and sure in choosing the potency, because the potency and dose is a part of simillimum. When you give a medicine, it not only includes just a similarity, it includes the correct the correct similarity plus the correct dose and the correct potency, which makes your prescription perfect. That's it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir, for my answering my question. About the selection of potency, it's very important, as you said, and we need to see all the aspect, even in potency selection as well. Uh, sir, can you throw some light on LM potency and the importance of LM potency and how does it help in practice?
So as I said earlier, the potency selection also has the working principle of holism and individualization, that which operates the entire homeopathic application. So LM potency is the potency scale which was designed by Hahnemann to make the prescription exact and precise to the patient, where in LM potency, where you can have an tailor-made adjustment according to the case. So this is where the LM potency stands unique when compared to the centesimal or other potency. When you say as LM potency, it is completely different, where you are instructed to administer LM only in water, which was a major change in the 5th edition of Organon. Okay. So this administration also has an unique style in LM potency, where you can have a good adjustment according to the changes that is happening in the case. So this adjustment is the second unique thing that is available in LM potency, which you cannot do this in a dry centesimal administration. So an LM potency has a logic behind it, where I think we have made a session on evolution of LM potency in our homeopathic musings. So the participants can view that session for better understanding to know about the uniqueness of LM potency.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for answering my question. I would again like to invite Dr. Prajakta Vaidya ma'am. Since we selected how to know, we've known how to know, studied a specific remedy and the potency, and analyze the case. Now comes the follow up, and you are personally my teacher, and I've been there with you for almost more than a year, and I've always seen you emphasize on follow up and how important it is to take a detailed follow up. So ma'am, can you throw some light on that as well, that how important it is to take a detailed follow up?
So in my practice of homeopathy, I've learned the very, very important uh, idea or concept. I would say that only first consultation we give lot of importance, no? And we are very excited as is, like when I was a student, or I was a beginning my practice. I used to be very excited, to take a case and be very happy if I take a nice case and I'll come to a nice remedy. And then, then you, at times you forget about it. Initially, it used to happen. But over these years, what I've understood is the follow up, every follow up, even if that patient is sticking to you for say 3 months or 6 months or a year or more than 5 years now, we have as our practice grows, every follow up is a very, very important um very, very important in terms of our understanding of our patients. So first consultation is important, but every follow, every single follow up, even if that patient is doing better, what has changed in his or her perspective, her mental stature, her physical complaints, her physical general like sleep and other parts of it, that to take a note of it is something very, very, very important. Even if they say they are better, what way they are better, that we need to understand. If they are, if sometimes it happens that patient was better for say 3 months, 6 months, but again there is aggravation of the old complaint, or if there is any new complaint that are coming up, that is an opportunity for us to see what state that patient belongs to. And if that state is matching with your old first consultation and the remedy that you were giving at this time also, then you have a clarity and the surety that this remedy is again going to work for that patient. So once you take a detailed follow, you get that strength and clarity. So in each follow, you must consider the physical complaint that they were come to you, their mental picture, all the dreams or any events that happened in their life in that particular time. Did they have any impact on them, or was there something that was bothering them in that particular time is something very important to look at. If there is any new complaint that is coming up, and to take the details of that complaint also will be very important in the follow. How are they feeling in physical general aspect, in their sleep, in their dreams, in their appetite and their cravings? That is also very important. If there are anything like any reports that they have done for any other complaint, any acute complaint that they have in the past time when they have met you. I think this will give us again the holistic aspect of understanding of the patient after we have given the remedy, uh, either for the first consultation or in your last follow. So I think follow-ups are as important as our first consultation, and that is also the success for us as a homeopath. And I think all of us will agree, Charu, Kamlesh, and Preeti. I think that's the most important step.
Yes, ma'am. Sometimes we don't get the right remedy with the first consultation, and we get it in the follow-up.
Exactly. It's
Yes.
an opportunity. If they're not doing better, or if you're not come to a remedy in the first consultation, maybe the second follow-up, third follow-up could be a good time when to go deeper, and then you come to their right remedy or their constitution remedy. It happened many times, right, Taskil?
Yes, ma'am. And sometimes acute follow-ups are also a
Yes.
passing way to, get the
Yes.
right remedy. Thank you, ma'am, for answering the question. I move on to Dr. Kamlesh, sir. You are known to, treat pathological cases and with ease, with homeopathy. And when pathological case come in mind, most of us beginners are a little nervous, or they are not that confident in treating pathological case with homeopathy. So could you like to throw some light on this aspect, and how we can confidently treat a pathological case with just homeopathic medicine?
Let me tell you secret of my success in pathological cases, uh, the skin. So the secret is that I don't look at the pathology in pathological cases, but I look the whole person, even if it is pathological case. And when you take this approach, the chances of success are much, much, much higher. And if you just consider the pathology, then it is very difficult to get results. Are you getting what I am saying?
Yes, yes.
So you need to take holistic and individualistic approach in any case, even in pathological case, even in acute case, even in emergency, acute emergencies. But try to understand the person and not the pathology. This is the secret. If you just focus on pathology, I have treated lot of pathology, and when I search for that particular repertory under that particular pathology, it doesn't match most of the time.
Mm.
So this is very surprising, and this is very exciting to see, and very amazed by the results I get. So the secret is whatever we four of us are repeatedly saying again and again the same thing, that we must consider the patient as a whole in individual way. This is the secret.
Very right and said. Thank you so much. I think I have these many questions. If you all have any other question, you all can write in the chat box, and our teachers can answer them. If you all have any questions, you can write it in the chat box. Till then, sir, I would like to invite Charu, sir, for one last question about potency, as he mentioned about potency. Sir, when we select a specific remedy, and we select the potency, we've taken the follow up. Sometimes it happens that in a particular follow up, you need to change the potency, if not the remedy. So, sir, what are the factors that determine where you have to change the potency, if you have to increase the potency or you have to decrease the potency? What would be those factors?
See, basically this comes under the follow-up management strategies with the case. So when it comes to potency, as I said earlier, it is always it is always including the dosage, how we are giving the dosage to the patient. So very broadly, we can understand what should we do after the first prescription in the follow-up, whether to increase or whether to decrease the potency. So that this depends upon mainly first two things. One is whether you are prescribing the medicine or you have prescribed the medicine in a dry dose format or in a water dose format, that is aqua dose format. So when you say it is a dry dose, then this categorization comes under fourth edition of Organon, which is mostly followed by the Kentian followers. So where people used to give very high potency and they will expect for an aggravation. So when the aggravation comes, they will wait until they couldn't, or if you are giving a dry dose, you cannot change immediately the potency or dose in your follow-up. So this is one drawback that you will be facing in the dry dose methodology, right? So there is no question. If you have given a dry dose, if the patient is getting improvement, you have to wait until the action of the remedy has to be exhausted. Or if the patient is getting an aggravation also, you have to wait, right? So, but if you are prescribing a aqua dose method, which as Hahnemann is stating in the 5th and 6th edition of Organon, okay, so there you will have a lenience of adjusting the dose or altering the potency by means of succussion or by means of stirring the aqua solution, right? So basically, this is basically the increasing and decreasing of the dose or potency depends upon what are the changes that is happening in the case. Okay. So for instance, generally we can understand three basic things will happen after a first prescription. One is no change. Other one is amelioration. Another one is aggravation, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So when there is no change after your first prescription, so this indicates no change in the sense means no occurrence of any other new symptom, nothing is happening. The case is just as it is.
Mm.
So this may indicate that if you have prescribed the medicine according to 5th or 6th edition of Organon, then the medicine may be correct, but your dose or the potency may be insufficient for that case, so that it could not elicit any reaction over the vital force of the patient.
Mm.
So at this point, you have to increase the dose with the same potency, or you can move on to higher adjacent potency. So this is one thing. When it comes to amelioration, okay, so which indicates that when this amelioration is in a holistic aspect in the case, so all the symptoms in mental and physical planes and his particulars have been improved, then this indicates that your medicine is correct. You no need to disturb it, so you can just wait. Okay. Or in case if you have prescribed LM potency, you can keep repeating and move on with the same medicine and potency so that it will bring an faster cure or faster amelioration with that particular case. Okay. So the third thing is aggravation. So when you see an aggravation in a case, so this aggravation can be classified into two things. One is similar aggravation and the other one is dissimilar aggravation. Okay. So similar aggravation means the symptom which existed with the patient alone has been increased in the intensity. So here what it shows is your medicine is correct, but your potency or the dose is higher. So here you should reduce your dose or reduce your potency, right? Or you can wait. So these are the options, right? So when it is dissimilar aggravation, which means more accessory symptoms are coming up in the case, which indicates your medicine is not exact simillimum, your potency may be wrong, so that the patient is developing accessory symptoms. So at this point, you have to restudy the case. So this is a basic guideline that we can keep in mind when we are looking into the follow-up changes with the patient. So we have many small, um, as you say, there are minute techniques to alter the potency dose when you are using LM or you are using aqua dose. So we will be dealing all these kinds of practical difficulties, how to solve them and how to apply the theory into practice in this course. Uh, and it will be more elaborately described in this course.
Yes, sir. Looking forward. Thank you so much, sir. I think we have a question by Mansi Chaudhary. I'll read it out. Good evening. As a student, many of us has some question regarding that how to study homeopathic materia medica thoroughly and how to remember it. Uh, if Dr. Preety ma'am would like to answer this question.
Yeah, I think it's a very practical question. We've all gone through this phase at some point, yeah. But the more you try to just remember it, wrote it, it's going to get more difficult, yeah. And now with us using technology so much, we are so dependent on repertory, phone numbers. We don't remember anymore. No, how many of us remember each other's telephone numbers?
No.
None of us, right? We are so dependent now. So, anyways, my point is that we don't really need to remember every detail. We don't need to rotate, and it becomes more difficult when we're just trying to be very myopic about a particular remedy on studying a particular remedy. If you take any one remedy, Prajakta spoke about it briefly. Pick up one remedy and then you understand that remedy from its source, from how it is in nature. Understand the toxicology of it, understand the mythology of it, how it was used in natural medicines. Then understand what is, the Boric has written in, Fatak has written, or Clark has written. Yeah. And then you understand some kingdom approach. Then you understand, oh, okay, you will figure out that at every stage there is one common thread that is running. You will find some central point. And then if you, let's say you picked up pulsatilla as a remedy that you studied this way from all approaches, yeah? You studied the repertory, the characteristics, the source, the mythology, the toxicology, the kingdom approach, everything you studied. And you studied that for pulsatilla. It took you, let's say, 1 week to do this. Now, when you study pulsatilla, after that you study remedies that are similar to pulsatilla, remedies that belong in the same group of pulsatilla. So those are remedies like aconite and Staphylos aureus and Helleborus and Actia spicata and Simicifuga. So start studying remedies which are in the same botanical group or same subkingdom, if it is, animal remedy, or in the same row of the periodic table if it's a mineral remedy. So study remedies which are small, which are conglomeration, groups similar to that. then you will understand, oh, okay, this is what pulsatilla is. And then understanding those other remedies will take a little short time. So you may take 1 week for pulsatilla, but you will take a little shorter for the rest of the remedies which belong in the same group. And that way you will make a full picture of all these remedies that belong to the same botanical group, which is Ranunculaceae. Once you do that, you study even larger picture of it. Yeah, and then even larger picture of it. And then at certain point, you will understand all the remedies a little bit better that belong to plant kingdom. So as students, who are new to, these contemporary methods or who are new to practice, study this way. When we were in school and when we used to study history, it used to be so damn boring. Do you remember that, the skin?
Yes.
Or Mansi? It was boring. We never used to like it. But now, when we grow up, we pick up novels which are historical. We like to see movies and series which are, so because we understand the background, there is a particular way of storytelling, the way of reading is different. So the way you study, the way you read, and the depth at which you go now, it will make it interesting. And when it becomes interesting, you will not forget. I hope I made some sense to you.
Yes. Yes. We have another question. Rashmi Baru asks, Sir, could you tell us a mistake that you have made in giving a correct potency and how you have corrected it and cured the case? As a student, it would be easy to understand.
Actually, to avoid such mistake in giving the wrong potency, I usually used to start the case with LM1 and keep ascending the potencies and dosage as it goes. So, since from my beginning of my practice, I used to be very clear in understanding this concept of potency, and as I have quickly entered into administering LM potency in my practice, I don't find any such much aggravations like this and adjusting. No, not as a mistake. So I used to do adjustment according to the case. I think Rashmi Bono is a student, right? Third year. Yeah, I hope so. Yes. Okay. So that is how. So we all the mistakes have been corrected at the early stage. So I don't remember that I have made any mistakes in potency and I have corrected it. So to avoid this mistake, that's why Hahnemann has arrived at the unique potency scale, that is LM potency. For any case, you can start with LM1 as and the dosage as guided by Hahnemann and keep moving forward and keep advancing the potencies. As the case gets improved, then you can stop it. LM1, 2, 3 in this sequence. So it won't bring any mistake in your potency selection. Am
I
I
hope that
answered?
answers your question, Rashmi.
Yeah.
If we have any further question, please write it down in the chat box. So we have covered how to take a case, how to study a specific remedy, what determines the potency of a remedy, how important is follow up, and how to repertorize, how important is repertorization. All these aspects we've covered today, and I'm sure this is just a preview. The course that we are going to bring up is more about all these things in detail and how it will really help uh, anyone who want to practice and who's starting to practice. I'm sure it will help those who are students and who are early practitioners. And we will be starting this course from 14th of May. I'll share the link below. And because I thank you all for joining, first of all. And I thank Dr. Preety, Dr. Prajakta, Dr. Kamlesh, and Dr. Charuvahan sir for sharing your knowledge and for answering some of very important questions that we had. And I'm sure there is more to it, and we can't cover it all in this session. But it will be covered in detail and in depth in our course from classroom to clinic version 2. And thank you all for joining. Those of all who have joined today will be getting a special 10% discount. Will be emailing you the link, and you can avail the discount for our course. If we have any further questions, we'll take it. Otherwise, we'll call for a day. If any one of you, ma'am or sir, if you want to elaborate on this.
No, I think wonderful session today. It was lovely speaking to all of you, and I'm glad that there was some interaction from the group here also. Look forward to seeing you there, and we are always here to support and help if needed. Yeah, so just shout out, and we're happy to help. Bye. Take care. See you
Bye, ma'am.
soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.